Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama Season 3, Episode 9 of my show, which is also going to be about Episode 9. But before I start talking about it, one thing I wanted to mention is, since we're on Episode 9, that means I got 6 more videos left of Season 3, because there's 15 episodes in this season, and, I'm on the video I'm doing is for episode 9 right now, so that means 6 more essentially, so that's what I mean by that. Anyway, now the episode is called the title of this episode is known as The Bird Pod of Ice-Catraz, which in this case is a reference to Pluto and the planet Pluto and penguins and stuff. I'm going to explain about that when I get into the storyline of the episode. Oh, but before I continue and before I actually get started, I just want to mention this will probably, I think, be the last video I do for this week because I didn't, because this week was a short week anyway, and, because I did one video earlier this week, the day before yesterday, like, not the day before yesterday, but the day after it, because of Halloween and stuff. I did one video yesterday, and I doing one today. I just wanted to get that out of the way, but anyway, getting into the actual storyline of this episode. The way this episode starts off is basically, the professor is basically explaining to the crew about their next sort of delivery mission to the planet Pluto, and then they're basically delivering this spaceship, like this space tanker full of crude oil, and they're supposed to deliver it while they're flying over the planet Pluto, which in this series, that planet is where the penguins are, and then basically, Leela wonders about what if the ship's hulls would be breached and the oil from the tanker spills and it hurts the penguins, but the professor explains that basically it's impossible to do so because the tanker that has all that dark matter oil in it has about 6,000 holes. So unlike his bladder, it's leak proof. Oh my god. Anyway, and then the professor sends them off on the mission, but Leela says that he doesn't want to go, that she doesn't want to go to do it. Well, because when he was doing the briefing for the delivery job, he mentioned to them about a bunch of protesters that were in the way of it to try to stop the tanker, and then afterward, and then Leela decides that she's gonna join the protesters on Neptune to stop the ship because of the professor's blatant disregard for the environment. So basically, penguins, and then basically, the professor tells her to hand over her captain's jacket, which he thinks is her jacket, which he thinks is a captain's jacket, but it's her actual jacket, which she wears all the time. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but that's hilarious. That's a little hilarious. I'm sorry. And then after she leaves after she gives him her jacket, Farnsworth pulls a fast one on Fry by making it sound like he becomes the captain, but then he makes Bender the captain instead, and then basically Fry is basically wondering what the professor's reasoning is for being a captain, and basically he says about being a captain is about compassion and leadership, and a good captain can't have both. That's why cold, logical Bender is the best choice. And then basically after that, when they go on the delivery of the ship, after that, Leela joins up with the... Well, Fry gets a little annoyed with the fact that the professor chose Bender to be the captain of the ship, because Leela was the one that was training him to be the captain and stuff, and she even wasn't laughing there. And then basically Bender said that his first mate deserves a good name, and he tells him that from now on his name is Wiggles. Oh my god. Because you don't like wiggle the finger kind of thing. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that's just hilarious. Anyway, and Zoidberg basically joins them for this mission because Leela left, so they need 3 people to do it, and because Leela left, I'm guessing because of that, Farnsworth chose to have Zoidberg go with them instead. Anyway, by this point, Leela is on Pluto with, like near where Pluto is, where the Penguins Unlimited base is, and then they use this basically peace ring to try to think that they can stop the tanker. Oh, I should mention when she first joined the Eco people, what happened was she tried to explain to them that they should actually take action with them, but the leader of the Eco but the leader of the protesters said that they weren't violent and stuff. And that's when they tried to do the thing with the peace ring, to stop the ship, and then, because they thought that by holding hands together, they could stop the ship, but the ship gets away, and then Leela asks him, when he was making this peace ring, oh my god, when he was making this peace ring, did he know that ships can move in 3 dimensions? And then he said that he did not. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm sorry if it kind of seems like I'm sort of rushing this video. I'm sort of rushing it because it's kind of late and stuff. So I want to try to do a quick one out of the way. So if this video is a little short, when I finish recording, whatever the time is, when I finish recording, I apologize if this video is going to be relatively shorter than my other ones. My complete apologies about that. Anyway, basically what happens is, now getting back into it with Fry, Bender, and Zoidberg, Fry and Bender are eating at the captain's side of the table while Zoidberg is eating on the other end, and then after Fry gets annoyed with Bender about the way he's acting since he became captain, he tells him that being captain to him is obviously more important than being his friend, and he decides to leave. But Bender doesn't want him to leave because the captain can't drink without his first mate. Oh, and speaking of Fry being Bender's first mate in his captainship, what happens is, he gives Fry the nickname Wiggles as his first mate, which is kind of funny. I'm sorry, I'm just, oh my god, I'm sorry, but that's hilarious. Wiggles. Oh my god, because, Anyway, after Fry leaves, Bender is basically a bit depressed about that, and this leads into the segment with the protesters because Bender is flying the ship upside down because the protesters are still trying to stop the tanker, and one of them is just holding up a sign that basically says, "Go away, tanker," and he hopes that the tanker sees the sign, and then Bender is too sober, and then Leela realizes that Bender is flying the ship upside down because he's too sobered up, and then basically Zoidberg tries to get Bender to drink some alcohol because in the future robots need alcohol in order to function, but Bender, being disoriented from being sober, that he mentions Fry's sort of like, he doesn't mention Fry's name, but he says he knew a guy, Zoidberg sort of looks like him, and that's when the and then while they're flying, Fry is still with them while they're flying the ship. And then while they're flying the ship, what happens is the ship, the bottom half of the tanker where the dark matter oil is placed, is contained inside, is ripped by the flag that the eco-activists use, and then when Zoidberg sees that, he's like, all 6,000 holes have been breached. And then when Fry hears that, he's like, oh, the fools! If only they built it with 6,001 holes. When will they learn? And then basically because of that leads into what was happening with the activists with the sign and stuff. Because of the spaceship being ruptured, basically what happens is it spilled the dark matter all over the planet, infecting the penguins, and then basically the leader of the activists, who by the way is named Free Waterfall Senior, he mentions that there's a that they're in a dire situation with the penguins since the oil spill, and then basically Leela wonders how dire the situation is, and then he said that, and then he tells them that their average penguin basically lays one egg a year. However, because of the oil spill, they're laying new eggs every few minutes. And also, the males, apparently also the male penguins are laying eggs as well, which is actually uncommon, which actually doesn't happen because it's the female version of them that lays the eggs and not the male. And he explains to them that if the penguins keep multiplying the way they do, there'll be so many of them that they won't have enough food and they'll all starve out. So basically Leela wonders what they can do for them, and then basically the leader of the activists says that he declares penguin hunting season open. Now I'm just gonna get back to Bender. What happened was he actually also fell out of the ship, which caused him to go sort of offline, and because of that, what happened was he basically had to reboot his programming, and because he was in like a tuxedo at the time, it made him look like a penguin, so his robot programming put in the penguin speech modulators and stuff, and then there was also this montage of him doing penguin stuff, which was like laying eggs and regurgitating food and stuff, and then basically by this point Fry's taken over captaining duties, and then he gets mad at Zoidberg because Zoidberg told him he knew how to navigate, and Zoidberg gets upset with Fry because he's getting upset with him about it. And then getting back to the part with Leela, she's sort of kind of going along with the activists at this point, with shooting the penguins in order to get rid of them, in order to lessen their population, in order to save them from the food supply. And then she tries to explain to the leader that she joined Penguins Unlimited to protect the penguins, not kill them. But the leader of the activists says that this time they're one and the same, because, which in this case kind of makes sense, because it's to reduce their population, therefore increasing their food supply, which then won't mean the penguins will starve, basically. But then after Leela tries to explain that that's some logic to it, she realizes that that while the other activists are getting their weapons and stuff and they're having fun with it, and then she said that they want to shoot the penguins and stuff, and then basically the leader of the activists says that he doesn't want to shoot penguins to enjoy it, but if in this case since they got to shoot them to reduce their population, then they might as well enjoy it, which kind of, in a technical sense, makes sense, because if they have to do it to lessen the population, then you might as well have fun doing it at the same time. Although I admit the method is sort of still wrong, but it is what it is. Anyway, getting back to with Fry and Zoidberg at this point, Fry's still flying the ship, but there's a giant squid attached to the ship, and then both he and Zoidberg are freaking out, and then Zoidberg is telling him it's been an honor to serve him, and then basically then it goes back to where Bender is, who's acting like a penguin still at this point because of his programming being rebooted because of being in sight of penguins, and then basically that's when Leela shows up with a gun to shoot the penguins in order to lessen their population, and then basically she said that she can't leave orphans, kind of entire families, and then she says that then she tried to shoot the penguins, and then she gets upset that she did hit them, and she goes to check it, but then she realizes that it's Bender that she hit instead of him. It was Bender she hit instead of one of the penguins, because Bender was disguised as a penguin at this point because of his programming being rebooted. And basically what happens is, after that, speaking of that, I should mention, they actually did a montage of Bender as a penguin where he was talking in penguin speak. So for the portions of the episode where he was talking in penguin speak, there was subtitles in the episode. Oh my god. And that leads into the funny segment with Bender before the end of the episode. I'll explain what that funny segment is when I get to it. I just wanted to mention that. Anyway, basically, Leela sees Bender there, and then he thinks that he's being cute to the penguins, and says that no, he doesn't like them, and then basically he tries to feed them, and then basically the activist starts shooting again, and Leela goes back to basically confront them to stop them from shooting, but then Pretty Wonderful Senior tells them that why isn't she shooting? Doesn't she want to save them? And then she says that she doesn't, and then he gets upset with her because she's not an activist at all. Then she tries to explain that she doesn't know if shooting penguins will help reduce their population or not, but it doesn't mean that. But however, she won't shoot people that do it, just shoot penguins just to do it also for the sake of fun. And then basically the leader of the activists mentions that she was right about it, and but then he explains that they also, on the other hand, spend some stuff on Penguin's Emperor, so because of that they go back to shooting the penguins. And then basically by that point what happens is Bender is basically rallying the penguins after they try to stand still and run, because he says in penguin speak, "That's Puffin Dog, follow me!" And then they basically start fighting them, and then they start chasing them off, and then basically what happens is Leela says that they were so peaceful, he supposes this is his doing, and then he said that, "Yep, it's just like I taught him. If it ain't black and white, don't. If it ain't black and white, peck, scratch, and bite." And then what he said for what he taught them actually came back to bite him, because basically what happened was he took his tuxedo off, and the tuxedo was what made him seem like a penguin. So basically by taking it off, the tuxedo was the only thing protecting him from the penguins, from them attacking, from pecking, scratching, and biting him. But he took it off, which is the funny thing I mentioned before, because it's funny, because it's a stupid thing. He could have waited until Fry got there with the ship. He could have waited for that and then got on the ship and took it off. He took it off before that. And because of that, the penguins started attacking him. And that's when Fry shows up with Zoidberg on the ship, and because basically by this point Leela and Bender are basically running from the penguins, and they get into this segment of it where they land on a piece of ice that makes a way that they don't fly, and then Bender sort of mocks them, but after the penguins jump in the water, he's like, "Oh, right, they can swim. It's all coming back to me now." Because penguins may not be able to fly, but the one thing they can do is swim in water. So and he was a penguin for a little bit himself because of his species thing reprogramming him to act like a penguin, so he should have still known that. But again, he was reset to being back to being a robot and stuff. And then basically, that's when Fry and Zoidberg show up in the ship, and then basically, Leela says that she's surprised to see Fry, and then basically, Bender calls Fry Wiggles, which is basically his nickname for him, and then basically, Bender asks Wiggles, who is Fry, permission to come aboard. And then Fry says that granted, because they can't leave without their captain, and then basically Leela's saying him, and then basically Bender says, "Oh, I'm bringing his toboggan," because Bender used Leela as a human toboggan in order to basically escape down the snow for the penguins before they got on that block of ice that he broke off. Oh my god. I'm sorry, that's just hilarious. Anyway, and then basically Leela, Fry wonders how Leela did with the penguins and saving them from being wiped out, and then basically she said that she did, but it was kind of, but she also gets confused by it. and she said that nature will work itself out. And then Bender explains that he's like, quit your worrying. Thanks to my leadership, those stupid birds will be just fine. And basically the episode basically ends with one of the penguins on Pluto basically finding one of the shotguns that one of the Penguins Unlimited people had and cocking it, and then that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please get this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys probably I don't know, maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow for the next video. But until then, guys, like I always tell you with this series, just please get this video the real best you guys can, and like I always tell you with this series, fun on a bun.